I thought something fun to change it up um, would be to start a story time segment, like a story corner almost. Okay.
Okay.
Now, with that, the reason I thought about this is because 4 years ago, I wrote a book.
Has already been 4 years.
4 years. Yep, 2018. So 2018 on your birthday is when it came out. I thought it would be fun to go through those stories because everything in that book is a story about growing up with you and things that you've done that are funny, that are serious. I just thought that'd be cool for our audience,
I think it'll be really cool.
and they'll get to know a little bit more about us, right?
Right.
So for the next several weeks, we're gonna do this 5 minute little segment. We're gonna call it story time, and it's yeah, it's a not so shameless plug. Okay, I'm not a big salesman. Um, the fun part for me was writing the book and getting to tell these stories, and I haven't done much with it since then. It is available on Amazon, and it'll what it looks like is going to pop up on your screen. The book's called "I Called Shotgun." Now, when you type it in, make sure you type in "called" CALLED. I called shotgun, um, and that way it'll come up. Don't feel like you have to purchase it. There's an ebook version of it that's cheaper, and then there's a paperback copy. If you're like me, I like having a hard copy in my hands. I just feel like I get more information from it than when I'm reading it on a screen. So both options are available to you. Uh, Again, we're gonna go through like each chapter. There's not the chapters are short and the stories are short, but the meaning is powerful. And in every story, uh, I end it with the meaning that we took from the story we're using. Okay,
Okay.
so do you know why I named the book and the first chapter I called Shotgun?
Because I always usually won when we call shotgun.
How I don't even know who taught you the rules of Shotgun.
Mom,
Who told you about being able to call it?
mom or dad?
The one dad.
It was mom.
I've never known that. All I know is that one day, being the older brother and having the rightful spot of the front seat was taken away from me, and we had to start calling shotgun.
Yeah.
And because we are so competitive, like this story if you want a summary of Haley and Justin, this is it. Okay. So, something that is just as simple as calling shotgun before you get in the car became an event because I wasn't going to lose. Haley wasn't going to lose. And so we ran into this situation where we were calling shotgun for 3 weeks in the future.
Okay. That's a long time.
That's a long. Why do you just say okay? You're the one that would do this. I would call shotgun for the next day, and then you'd call shotgun for Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Why do you just say okay? You started all this. You could have just sat in the back seat.
Now would not be fair if I just sat in the back seat the whole time.
Life is not fair, Haley.
And
Life
it's
is
not
not
fair.
fair.
And it's not fair for you to get the front seat every time.
I'm the older brother.
So,
It's not it's not an issue of fairness. It's the issue of my rightful position as the older brother.
We took turns sitting in a front seat.
Yeah, after you brought up the issue. Now, we didn't take turns. We did have to set rules.
Yes.
You could only call it the morning of. And what was the other one? Do you remember the other rule?
No.
You had to call it in the garage. You had to be in the garage the morning of school, of the day you were calling it. Okay.
Okay.
So there was a rush to get ready so you could go out to the garage.
Okay.
Now, the rule was meant to be used like as we're walking out. So whoever's the first one walking out can call it. But I do know this. I do know that mom and dad told you, like even before you'd get ready, as soon as you wake up, to walk out to the garage and call shotgun.
Yes.
You don't feel like that's cheating? You
No.
weren't even ready for school.
I don't think that's not cheating.
Now, the issue kind of resolved itself when I started driving, because I would drive you to school,
Mm-hmm.
and we both sat in the front seat.
Okay. Because you're the older brother, that doesn't mean you get called shotgun every single time.
It, I shouldn't have to.
You can learn how to share the front seat.
I did. That's not my issue. My issue is that I shouldn't have to.
You have to.
Haley,
What? You have to take turns.
no.
Whatever.
So why did I choose that as the opening chapter in the
But
book title? Because of that. And like I said, because it's a summary of what our life is like. It plus the more you start thinking about it, right? And the more Haley tries to convince you that we should take turns and that fairness and all that stuff. It's pretty amazing to see the lesson in that. Because when you are, and the story goes a little bit more in depth in the book, uh when you're a sibling, when you're Haley's brother, okay? When you're Haley's brother, it can seem like you have to take the back seat a lot. Haley requires more attention. Haley requires more time and energy. Um, and it's not her fault. She can't help it. She doesn't choose that.
mm-mm.
But it still, from my perspective, can seem like I have to go, like I have to take the back seat to mom and dad's attention. And you have two choices. You can be bitter and become resentful towards Haley, or I can come to terms with it and be okay with it and take advantage of the times that I do get. Now, mom and dad were very, uh, very, oh my goodness, the word just left me. They were very intentional with giving me time that was just me. Okay. My mom and I would go on, would have date nights and we would do whatever I wanted to do, go eat where I wanted to go eat. And that 2 or 3 hours was just about quality time with mom and me. And then dad and I, we have several different things that we would do. So they were intentional about spending that time and giving it to me. And even though it wasn't as much time as they would need to spend with Haley, it was still very important to me and to them. So if you are only looking at life as especially as a sibling, as a Haley's brother, if you are only looking at life through what you don't get and through this I shouldn't have to be in the back seat lens, um, you just miss out. And you miss out on the hope that is out there. And I just don't think you can live life to the full with that attitude and that belief system. And so I thought it was really important to talk about that and to share that because so often, and even if you're in a typical household, uh, and you don't have a child with disabilities in your home, um, there there are things that can cause you to feel like you're having to take the back seat in in all of these areas, right? How are you going to face that? Are you going to allow it to control and dictate your life to the point where you become bitter and resentful? Or are you going to take on the challenge and live life to the full and continuously keep searching for hope and believing that tomorrow is going to be better? One of the things that Haley taught me younger than any other situation could have taught me this. Uh, and it's far beyond. If you look at the child development spectrum, I had to learn it ahead of the curve, and it's not because I'm smart or brilliant or exceptional or any of that. It's because we had Haley. I learned early on that life isn't about us. We're only 18 months apart. I don't know a life without Haley. And I had to learn um, that while what you do is important, life is bigger than you. And if you're sitting in the front seat, it's hard to see it. And we do a lot of things on this show that try to show you a different side, right? And the common theme through all of this is a message of hope. Why? Because hope is what we have, and life is what we have, and we can live both to the full and have a great life. When you look at Haley and I, there are so many things that make us a typical brother and sister. The argument over who gets to sit in the front seat, the argument who is better at volleyball. Um, and we focus on that because there are more things that make us a typical brother and sister than not. And so I want to close story time with a paragraph from the book. You good with that, H?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay. So from chapter 1, I called Shotgun. This is the perfect story to start with because it gives you a glimpse of our life. Yes, there were things that made us different from most siblings. Those would be things like staying awake at night, at the age of 10 to listen to Haley have a seizure, spending a couple of months of my senior year going to the hospital after school to be with her during her surgeries, receiving an air mattress for our wedding gift because when mom and dad are out of town, she stays with us. Becoming a legal guardian at the age of 25 for your sister who is only 18 months younger than you. Come to think of it, there are several things that set us apart from other siblings. And this book will highlight those things from my perspective. However, there are also several things that make us as typical as any brother and sister, and those are the stories that are not only hilarious, they are epic. In my life, I often spent so much time focusing on what makes us different that sometimes I forget I was created to be more than only Haley's brother. Haley has taught us many things in her lifetime, and I was forced to learn early on that sometimes we just have to take the back seat for someone else.